All right, hello, and welcome back for the third of the two videos that I am recording. Hopefully you guys watched that last one a couple of times so you have some idea of what's going to happen tomorrow. So I want to talk through the procedure, what this is going to look like. Much like the last lab, you can do these three unknowns in whatever order you want. There's going to be a bottle with a green lid. Actually, there's going to be three bottles with green lids. One's going to be labeled Unknown 1, one's going to be labeled Unknown 2, and one's going to be labeled Unknown 3. Those will be set aside probably each at one of the lab benches, and you guys can go and get those when you are ready to do so. There will be a set of tweezers at each lab bench. Those tweezers are the only tweezers that are to go into the unknown bottle. Do not put your tweezers in the bottle of the unknown. Just the ones that are at the station. Don't put yours in. Okay, that is because we need to avoid cross-contamination between the different unknowns. Your tweezers are going to be handling all three unknowns over the course of the lab. And potentially over the course of the day. Okay, the tweezers that are at those unknowns at the lab benches are only for that bottle, so that you're not sticking dirty tweezers with sodium on them in the potassium bottle. Okay, now that said, you do need to take your tweezers with you when you go to get it. That is because what you're going to do, once we actually start, we'll do a little bit of pre-lab again before you guys actually start this, but when we start, you guys are going to take your paper towel and your tweezers to one of the three unknowns. It doesn't matter. You can do them in whatever order you want. It will not make a difference. You will get this. You'll eventually do all three. Okay, and you are going to use the provided tweezers at the bench to pull out a piece of unknown and put it on your paper towel. Then, you are going to, I don't care if there is someone behind you or not, after you get your unknown, you put the lid back on that bottle. Okay, you need to put the lid on the bottle. We want to minimize the exposure to the air in the room as much as possible. Not because there's fumes coming out of it that are dangerous to us, but because the air in the room is going to be way more humid than the air in the bottle. And the longer it's open, the more corroded those chemicals are going to get. So I don't care if someone behind you is going, no, don't, I'm right here. Every single one of you had better put the lid back on the bottle of the unknown. I will now step off my soapbox and continue with the procedure. You'll use the tweezers there to get the unknown out, put it on your paper towel, put the lid back on the bottle. And then you're going to use your tweezers to hold that unknown in place while you walk back to your lab station. Okay, it's very easy to drop these pieces on the floor. They're very small. I often have a lot of people, they'll take this paper towel and fold it in half again, so they have a little smaller area to work with because that makes things a little easier. You are going to get mineral oil everywhere. This paper towel is to help absorb a lot of it. It won't absorb everything, but this will help. You will take this unknown back to your workstation. And once there, you will use your spatula as a knife eventually. That's what the purpose of the spatula is this is your knife. Okay? You will be provided tomorrow, the day of the lab, a copy of this data sheet, which you can again pull up in Canvas in the same place that we talked about before if you want to see it. Okay, you're going to be taking 10 observations of each unknown. Make sure, if you start with unknown 3, that you put your observations in the row for unknown 3. If you start with unknown 1, just shoot across the row. If you start with unknown 2 or 3, you need to make sure you get your data in the right spot, or you will be in deep trouble when you have to identify this. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to make 3 observations of the outside. Those are the color of the unknown on the outside, its approximate size and shape. You can do that in millimeters. It's going to be estimations. Is it a pyramid? Is it a cube? Is it kind of flat? Is it just a funky shape? What shape is it? And then the third one is the density in the oil. This is very simple. It sounds really complicated. One of them floats in the oil. Two of them sink in the oil. Okay? So in the bottle that you got the unknown out of, was the unknown floating, or what did it sink? Was it sitting on the bottom? Okay? At that point, then you're going to use the spatula, like we said, to cut into the unknown. Try to avoid cutting it into multiple pieces. The more pieces you cut it into, the less entertaining the third part of this is going to be. So try to cut it or scrape it so that you can see the inside, but you don't want to actually cut it into two pieces. Okay? Then, in the second column, you have color again. This is the color of the inside. The ease of cutting. You can either say easy, medium, and hard, or what a couple people have done is they'll come up with some kind of ranking scale. Like 10 is hard, 1 is super easy, and they'll rank it each time. Speed of corrosion, literally time it. I will tell you that they will all be corroded in 30 seconds or less. If you didn't see it, it's because it was corroded really fast, and it was probably done before you started your timer. Okay, so scrape a little bit of it back off again, and you'll be able to see what's going on. And then you stop. Do not go on to the next part until everybody is done with the outside observations and the inside observations for whatever unknown they are working on. At that point, the next step is to drop it in the water. And depending on what unknown you've got, this could be spectacular or it could be a flop. I generally like to tell people, get your phones out, record it. If you want to post it on Snapchat, this is really good. This lab is actually pretty good for Snapchat if it works. Sometimes we don't get any explosions. But I have high hopes for tomorrow. So we will turn the lights off so that you can get a better video and so you can see the color a little better. Do not try to judge the color based on the color in your phone. You need to actually look at it with your eye. Okay? If there is a flame, you need to actually look at the color of the flame with your real eye. Okay? Your camera is not going to adequately display the color of the flame. You're not going to be able to tell the difference between the unknowns based on the flame color if you're trying to look at it through a camera. You need to actually look at the unknown with your real eye while it's burning if it catches fire. So we'll all drop it in at the same time. I'll give you some more detailed instructions on that tomorrow. And then you're going to record 4 observations of what happened when it hit the water. Okay? You'll notice observations 7 and 8 here. 7 and 8. They have a little triangle at the beginning. It says that triangle is a shorthand symbol that means change in, or delta. It's a delta. In science, that means change in. So this is the change in the color and the change in the shape. So did the color of the metal change when it hit the water? If no, write no. If yes, say what color it turned. Ditto for the shape. Did the shape change? If no, write no. If yes, say what shape it changed to. Now, like I said, the lithium is going to dissolve, but it's not really going to change shape. It's going to kind of maintain the same general shape until it disappears. The sodium is going to change its shape to a specific shape that should stand out when you see it. Was there a flame? Flame details. Was there a flame? Yes or no? Well, really just no or details. If there was no flame, write no. If there was, tell me what color it was. Okay, you're looking for 2 particular colors. It's either orange or it's purple or lilac. Orange or lilac. Okay, was it shooting sparks out or was it actually just burning? Was it doing both? Did it kind of give you spots where it was sending sparks out sometimes and not others? That's the stuff you need to note under flame details. And then the last thing is explosion, question mark. Okay. That's a yes or a no. Either yes, it exploded, or no, it didn't. If it exploded, you need to tell or note, like, was it a big explosion? Was it a small explosion? Was it a pop? FYI, the sodium will actually tend to, if it blows up, it doesn't always blow up. The sodium will tend to, if it blows up, blow up much more spectacularly. That is because Eldo water has a lot of sulfur in it. And so when we do this lab, we tend to get, when we use the Eldo's water, we tend to get sometimes some pretty amazing explosions. But that's coming from the sodium, not the potassium. Okay, so the sodium may blow up and look like a much more violent reaction, but that's because of the sulfur in the water is kind of skewing that data a little bit. And I'm going to say that, and then nobody's going to have any explosions. That's what happened last year. Some years we get tons of explosions out of the sodium. Some years we get absolutely nothing, and it's super depressing. But just a heads up. If you get like a giant yellow-orange explosion, that was probably sodium, not potassium. And that's pretty much it for the data. At that point, we'll turn the lights off. I'm backtracking a little bit now. We'll turn the lights off. We'll drop them all in the water at the same time. We'll let them do whatever they're going to do. Then we'll turn the lights back on, and at that point, you will record your observations. Now, I have had many people set their data sheets on fire when we drop the unknowns in the water. It might be a good idea to pick up your data sheet so it's not sitting on the table next to the unknown. It can either be splashed with water or literally set on fire. And I will not give you another one if you set it on fire, because you have been warned. Pick it up so you don't have to worry about it. I am not going to be watching to make sure you pick it up. That's not on my concern list. That's your problem, not mine. So make sure that you don't do that. We'll turn the lights back on. You can record all of your observations. And then as soon as you finish recording your observations, go get another unknown. If you did unknown 1, go get 2 or 3. If you did unknown 3, go get 2 or 1. Like I said, it doesn't matter which order you do them in, but you need to do all 3 eventually. And I would, hopefully a third of you will do 1, a third of you will do 2, and a third of you will do 3. I don't know how many times I've had I've had 2/3 of the class like, I have to do 1, 2, 3, and everybody else is like, I don't care. And so there's always a bottleneck at whatever one there's a ton of people at. It will not make a difference. Do them in whatever order. Once you have recorded all 30 of your observations, 10 for each of the 3 unknowns, you will be done with the lab. You can take a picture of your data sheet. You know who you are. Take a picture of your data sheet so you don't have to worry about losing it. And then you're going to go back to the room that you started in. If you are any class other than 7th hour, so 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, that is going to be the library that you are returning to. Okay, we're going to meet in the library. We'll come in, do the lab, and then you will return to the library. At that point, you will get on your Chromebook, and you're going to go into the post lab, because this should only take about 25 minutes. You're going to go into the post lab, and you're going to identify all 3 unknowns right there. We're not going to wait 24 hours like we did with the flame test. Just go ahead, get it done. Less chance of you losing stuff or forgetting some of the critical details. So yeah, hopefully that will help. I am forgetting something. Oh, throw your data sheet away. It's not because there's anything dangerous on it. It's probably going to be wet or burned or something. So just pitch your data sheet before you leave. Take a picture of it first. And then you'll identify the unknowns in the library, and then we will be done for the day. I would recommend you spend some time prepping for your final, because like I said, this is only going to take like half the hour. So you'll have at least 15, 20 minutes, except maybe 5th hour. 5th hour takes forever to do everything, so they may take a little longer. But you should all have at least 15 minutes to start studying for your final. Make sure you know those equipment pieces, or maybe some of those history of the atom details, the difference between a family and a period, not a family and a classification, or a group and a period, because you cannot retake the final. There's no test corrections on the final. I'll stop ranting now. that is it for this video. Have a wonderful whatever, and I will see y'all tomorrow.